Hello and welcome to another amazing episode of Experts Eating Cake. I'm your host, Michelle Thomas, and this is my most favourite part of the week where I bring my two favourite things, business and cake, join them together and have amazing conversations with some of my biz buddies. And today I have got a very special person, somebody who grounds me, somebody who calms me, a person who is a person-centered counsellor who's extraordinary at it. She's also a model, a therapist, and soon to be best-selling author. It's Lianne Terry. Where are you?
Hey! Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm fabulous. I always love coming on and eating cake with my mates. So, if that's on the agenda for the day. Hey, if that's on the agenda for the day, then I am absolutely good. I've got a chocolate Danish twist. And it's been sitting here, and because I heated it up beforehand, you know that hot buttery smell that you get?
Yeah.
It's been hitting my nose and my taste buds have been going again. And I get a really wet mouth. Waiting for the cake. Oh, gosh.
I have too many muffins. They're not exciting, but they will do the job.
Yeah, well, it's cake, isn't it? You can't really complain when it's cake. The only time when it's disgusting is when you put disgusting out-of-date custard on it, which has been known to happen before.
Yeah, not for me, that, no.
Yeah, it's happened to me. I do eat cake on a regular basis. Well, I brought you on because of everybody that I know, I think you're one of the people, very much like my husband, who's got a very calming influence on me. Most of the time, I'm like, woo! But I love being in your presence because you're just so grounding and a very calming person. And I think that's probably that's why I love you so much. But I think that's probably why you are a total expert at what you do, which is helping people to, how do I put it? Helping people to really bring themselves back to happiness, focus on their mental well-being by breaking cycles and, challenging their family story and the narratives that have come from that. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a little while. But
Fab.
We need to eat cake.
Yes, we do.
We do need to eat cake. Let's do a cheers. Cheers. Let me know how your cake is.
I will.
Mm. They're only little mini ones, are they?
Yeah, just little mini ones. That's why I've got two. And they're pinched really from my children.
I knew that. I knew you were going to say that. Because you've got twin girls, haven't you?
Yeah.
That's why it's true, because there's twin. So they don't get pudding for tonight for after tea.
It's really bad. If they've got chocolate, one of them doesn't really like chocolate very much, but if they've got chocolate, I'm terrible for eating it on them. I've got such a sweet tooth, and if it's there, I can't help it. Terrible parents.
You need to get a cupboard and lock it with a key and then give it to them and make sure that you don't get access to it.
That's exactly what I need to do. You are not wrong.
Oh, that's quite nice, that is. That's chocolate twist pastry.
Is it a Marks and Spencer's one?
Oh, God, no. I didn't go to Marks and Spencer's. Too much faff. It's a Morrison's one, but the chocolate's quite a bitter chocolate, a dark chocolate.
Ah, okay.
And I like it because it's not too sweet, even though I do like sweet things.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a coffee snob, so I like my black coffee and I like my little bit of dark chocolate as well.
Yeah, nice.
But then again, I like white chocolate, I like golden chocolate, I like milk chocolate, I like any kind of chocolate, really.
I knew you were a wrong one. White chocolate, dark chocolate. Oh, it's milk. Got to be milk chocolate all the way.
The only one that I won't eat is Cadbury's cream eggs.
Oh yeah, but
don't like them. I do not like them. Okay, so your area of expertise is helping individuals to improve their mental well-being, and you use lots of different modalities. The main one is CBT, which is Cognitive-Behavioural Therapy, and the thing that you specialise in, correct me if I'm wrong, is PCT, which is person-centered therapies.
Yeah. I use both CBT and PCT. Yeah, I'm qualified in both, but I've been qualified a lot longer in the person-centered stuff. So and I just prefer it. I think it's more me, I guess, than CBT. But I do use a bit of both and kind of weave them together. where relevant. Yeah.
So but in saying that, I mean, a lot of the stuff that you do is around therapy, but the way that you put it across is that happiness is the direction that you want everybody to travel in. So in that respect, the way that we come across and the way that we speak together is very much about the power of the individual that you are.
Yes.
And using that power to bring yourself out of a place of despair and actually bringing yourself back to growth and living the kind of life that you want. So tell me a little bit how you came to this.
Oh, that's a really good question. I think for me, so probably about 16, 17 years ago now, back in the day, I just had some really, really negative relationship patterns. I was in some quite horrible relationships. And I went for therapy myself, and it was life-changing. It was the best thing I've ever done, apart from have kids and meet my wife and, all the good stuff. But it was
stuff,
it was up there. It was up there. And I found it really hard to find a therapist because a lot of therapists are quite closed off themselves. There's quite a kind of sitting back and how does that make you feel vibe. And I find it really hard to talk to somebody or open up to somebody if I can't connect with them. And when I did find the right therapist for me, it was somebody who was a bit less boundaried maybe, but a bit more personable, a bit more focused on the quality of the relationship. And that for me is the key to delivering good therapy, is the quality of the relationship. And I think it changed my life not only because, I broke down my negative relationship patterns, worked on my childhood wounds and kind of broke away from a lot of pain. It also made me decide, that's something that I really want to do. And it didn't, I went on a bit of a long and winding journey to get there, because I started studying, but obviously I was doing a different full-time corporate job at the same time. And I failed my qualification twice, which my first qualification twice, mainly because my ADHD and my organisation skills are not great. I'm not good at logging things and stuff like that. But because of my own sort of fear of failure, it then took me quite a long time to pick it back up after
Your resilience.
Well, now it is resilience, absolutely. But it took me quite a long time to pick it back up. So I qualified, I think maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and I started practicing on a full-time basis 3 years ago. And now I've got my own practice where I work with lots of different people, and I absolutely love it. It is the best thing, best career choice. It's more than a career choice. It's a
way of being. It's a way of being.
Yeah. And I absolutely love it. So that was kind of my journey. Learned a lot about myself along the way, raised my own self-awareness a lot. And now I'm in a place where I have written my book, which is hopefully going to help lots of other people to heal some of those childhood wounds. And I'm looking at, I'm going to do some group programs. I'm going to launch a membership this year. So there's a lot going on as well within my business. That's kind of, I'm taking it to that next step where I can reach more people and hopefully help more people to find their happiness and to ultimately let go of any pain that they're holding.
Absolutely. It's a really, really important job. And the more people that we can impact, the quicker we're going to be able to help lift the mood of the planet. For people who perhaps are thinking about going into therapy and looking at this kind of approach in terms of becoming, getting themselves, pulling themselves out of places that they have found themselves over the years, whether it be due to their past or their families or anything like that. What are the three, as many as you like, some important things that they need to consider before they actually go ahead and go into therapy? What can they do to help themselves?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think finding the right person for them, ultimately, as I touched on a second ago, the quality of that connection is really key. And I'll have some, I mean, I offer like a little free sort of 15 minutes kind of get to know me. And I think it's really important for people that are thinking about therapy to utilize that, because lots of therapists will offer that. And if you don't feel that you can trust someone, if you don't feel you connect with them, ultimately you won't be able to talk to them.
Yeah.
And no therapist is going to be kind of, what's the word? Take it personally, I guess, if you don't want to work with them, because you don't click with everybody. And I've had clients come to me that I've felt a bit like, I'm not sure this is going to work. And it, you know, sometimes it's hard to connect with somebody that isn't your kind of person, or whatever that looks like.
Sometimes it's not even the connection or the rapport. Sometimes it's the fact that the person who's turned up in front of you is just not ready to go down that road.
And that was going to be the second thing that I was going to say there. That's all right. No, you know, you've kind of led right into it. Is making sure that you're ready to go into therapy, because therapy is like, one of my clients describes it, and I really love this analogy, is that we kind of spend our lives and things happen to us. And if you imagine the things that happen to us, or the things we feel, are paper, and you screw it up and you throw it in the bin, and you screw it up and you throw it in the bin, and you keep going, and you screw it up and you throw it in the bin. And therapy is like tipping that waste paper basket back out, getting all the screwed up bits of paper out, flattening them down, having a good look at them, and filing them away neatly. So processing them, I guess. But that stage where you look at them is hard. It's really hard. And if you're not ready to do it, and you'll know yourself if you're not ready, generally it'll be because someone else is pushing you to do it and it's not your choice, I guess. You'll know, but it will be overwhelming ultimately. So I think, making sure that you're ready and that you actually want to, because if you're doing it for the wrong reasons, because somebody else is making you, or whatever that looks like, because you need to, I don't know, do something for work or for probation or whatever that looks like, that's ultimately, it's going to be more difficult, because you've not got the level of commitment to it.
It's not going to be sustained. It's going to be really hard to make it sustainable, because you haven't got the energy behind it to keep it going. And ultimately, it's like you said, therapy, any kind of therapy, is a process. It's something that you do over and over again. It's a practice. It's putting the practices in your place that actually help you to grow and become the person that you want to be. And if you haven't got the energy to even go down that road, then, you know, you might do it once or twice,
but ultimately
that going is going to be the hard slog. It's going to be the thing, and you don't want it to be a hard slog. You want it to get easier as it goes along, because give up on therapy.
And it is, you know, those first couple of sessions can be really hard, but ultimately from there it will get easier and easier and easier. And don't get me wrong, I have had some clients that have come to therapy and been like, oh, my partner said I needed therapy, and she's going to leave me if I don't come, and blah, blah, blah. And they hate that. And they're like, I hate the idea of it. And I've been like, well, let's just see how it goes. And actually they have got a lot out of it and really enjoyed it. And so I'm not saying not to do it, but just to be aware that you do need to commit to it. It's something that you need to be all in on. You can't just do it to tick a box, I guess.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is you have to have an open mind and an open heart, because when you're in therapy, it is all about you. It is all about the things that you've got in your head and your emotions and your history. And, you know, it's effectively, it's got nothing to do with the therapist. The therapist sits there and facilitates it and points you in the kind of direction that they think that you would be able to take on board. But ultimately, it is about you and what you're willing to commit to.
And it's, in some ways, the most unnatural situation you'll ever find yourself in, because it's very rare in life that it's all about you. You know, we have two-way dialogues with people all the time, and therapy is a two-way dialogue, but it's about the client ultimately. And for me, I think a big part of my approach is gentleness, and that it is at the client's pace. If they don't want to look at something, I'm never going to make them do that. You know, I might suggest that they do it. You know, I think it would really help you if you looked at this. And if they say, I'm not ready, then, you know, I back away from it ultimately. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't know. They kind of go to therapy expecting, oh, I'm going to have to talk about this, this, and this, and it's going to be really awful. But you don't ever have to do anything you don't want to.
No, you find different ways of actually getting to the root of the problem in a way that makes sense to the client. And, you know, it might take a little while, or it might go down some strange and wonderful path. But eventually the outcome is the outcome that you as an individual actually want to achieve. And sometimes it's not even the thing that you want. That's not the thing that you get. It's not the thing that you thought you want, but it's the exact thing that you wanted. Going back to this whole having that connection with your therapist, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this to you, but my lovely way of picking my therapist, I have a therapist that I've had for the last 12 years.
Yeah.
I don't see her very often, but my go-to. She's literally my go-to. I've sent all my friends and family over to her.
I love that.
And the way that I found her. Therapists. There was a long list of them, all with their big mug shots.
Yeah.
Went, I want that one. Because she was smiling and there was something about her that I was immediately drawn to. And it was the best decision that I could have made. She really helped me to pull myself out of a really dark place on more than one occasion. And really got me to stay on that journey of becoming self-aware and taking action upon it. And I know when you're doing person-centered therapy, that is essentially what you want to do. Become aware and take forward steps that will actually benefit you. And it's always about the power that you have and making sure it's pushing you in the right direction.
And I think what you said there is really key. Actually, like, you've had a therapist that you've had for 12 years and you kind of dip in and out if you need it. And the same for me, like my therapist that I found 15 years ago, she's still my therapist now, like as and when I need her. And I think that's the other thing to kind of note there. When going to therapy, it isn't a quick fix. It's almost a lifestyle choice. It's something that you may dip in and out of for the rest of your life, and that's okay.
Well, there's something very comforting about having somebody that you know will have your back, and that's not, that's not connected to you on an emotional level. They're not your friends, they're not your family. It's literally a life raft that you go back to whenever you need. And it's gonna be at times when you're not really going to go and see your therapist just to sit and eat cake with them. Well, you might do. I've got to admit I have done that. But it's not going to be a therapy session. No, you're just sitting there eating cake and chatting about the weather. It's going to be about the hard things that you struggle to open up about, and that you might want to be vulnerable about, and you don't have anyone else that you can do that with. And it's great to have somebody to actually you can go to. That they are your lighthouse, your light raft. The place that you go back to. Is always going to be there to help you get through what is effectively going to be some of the hardest times in your life, and helping you to take that and straighten it all out for you again. And a lot of people don't realize how important having that kind of connection is. And I feel really blessed that I've got somebody in my life. I feel really blessed that I've got friends that I can, like yourself, that I can call on, that if I need to find another therapist, sorry Nikki, for whatever reason, if she's on holiday or whatever, that I've got friends that I can actually come back to as well. So yes, it's a really, really important thing. At the beginning of this show, and when I introduced you, because you are a multi-talented, multi-passionate person, and I know a lot of this has been coming out of you over the last year or two. I mentioned that you are a model.
Yes.
All my friends are models. I know a lot of models these days. But you recently been on the catwalk on a number of occasions, done a lot of photo shoots. Tell us a little bit more about that and what that brings to your life.
I love that question. I think for me, kind of growing up, I was always a bit of an ugly duckling. I know, hard to believe. I know. I've got, and I still have, but I straighten it. I've got crazy frizzy hair. I'd braces when I was at school, like proper train track braces, and I was just a bit of an ugly duckling, very freckly, very pale and interesting, I like to think of it as. And I never felt like I looked good. I'm quite short, as you know, but obviously you viewers won't know, I'm like 5'1". So I always felt like, ugh. And when I saw Debbie, who you will know, advertising for models, I was like, oh, such and such of one of my friends could do that, and such could do that. And then I was like, why not me? What is actually stopping me from doing that? And I love the kind of, I love to represent diverse body shapes, because I am quite short. I'm not, super, super skinny. And I'm over 40. And it's great to represent people that look like me, ultimately, because when you sit and you watch, I don't know, or you look through your magazines and you're looking at like fashion pictures and whatever, and everyone is tall and slim and young. And yet the majority of us are not tall and slim and young, ultimately.
I mean, a lot of that is changing. I mean,
yeah,
social media, I'm not seeing a lot of the traditional model types anymore.
And I'm really enjoying being a part of that change, I think, and saying yes to things. Because when I turned 40, I was like, right, this year I'm going to say yes to stuff. And yeah, it's been really good. I've had experiences that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And I've really enjoyed modelling. I've got to know you better. I've made some lovely friends. I really enjoy the kind of buzz on the day. Love it. Really exciting.
And talking about doing new experiences, you've finally written the book.
Yes.
The book. And it has literally just been released. And anybody that wants to find out more or buy a copy, the link is in the description. Just literally click on the link, take you to it on Amazon.
It is on Amazon, so please do.
You can buy it, you can support Lianne, you can read Words of Wisdom. It's called Breaking the Cycle.
Breaking the Cycle.
Tell us more about this book. What's in this book? What can we look forward to?
Lots of things. So it is about kind of navigating your way through your family wounds. And by family wounds, I don't mean like big, massive trauma. I mean the kind of unintentional or the best intentioned sort of wounds, ultimately. The kind of normal day-to-day stuff that still causes us pain. So something that I've found since being a therapist is that every single one of my clients and pretty much everyone I know actually is holding a level of stuff from their childhood that they need to work through. And like for me, a part of that was, so my mum was very pushy education wise, which led to me developing a real fear of failure ultimately. And, I've obviously worked through that in therapy, but it's stuff like that came from a really good place. She wanted the best for me. She wanted the education that she never had for me. And it, that's lovely. But ultimately it caused me pain. And we've all got small things that our family members have behaved like, have said to us, that has had like a bit of a knock-on effect. And through my book, Breaking the Cycle, we kind of explore the factors that might have shaped us, initiate that healing process. So there's a lot of like journal prompts in my books. There's a lot of different healing methodologies. There's a lot of looking at things like your inner child, your shadow self, your mother wound, your father wound, your sibling wounds, and kind of looking at how to heal those.
Wow. So you packed a lot into your book then.
Yeah, there is a lot in there, and I guess it's kind of a what's the word, like an introduction to healing wounds.
It's very readable for
it's
not full of.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong, there is bits in there about like attachment and schema therapy and different things, but all stuff that you can apply to your own life really easily.
Okay, all right, that's next on my list of books to read.
Get on it.
We're going to be there at 11 o'clock at night with my eyes going like this, and it's just one more. I'm on my phone. I watch it on my Kindle. As you were talking there, it was very much bringing to mind my own kind of not family wound, but my own situation that I've been kind of coming to terms with and been made aware of. I think it was a couple of years ago, whereby one of my sticking points was the thing about playing small, having a small life and playing small. And I came to the realization that the relationship that I'd had with my mum, because she cocooned me and protected me, everything was such a big risk. It kind of like took a really big toll on the way that I viewed life. And I was always pushing against it, but I never quite managed to break that bond, not that bond, but that connection with the way that she saw the world, so that I could go off and see the world myself in the way that I wanted to. And I was 47 when I finally managed to grab a hold of that and say, and sever that and say, right, you are you, I am me, you are you, because you want to protect me, I am your child, you love me, but that overprotectiveness does not allow me to make my own mistakes and that's
exactly what my book's about. Exactly those, like, because that's come from a place of real love and consideration, hasn't it? But ultimately it has left you with things to process and overcome.
It wasn't a trauma. I would never describe it as a trauma, because a lot of people talk about traumas. It's like, well, no, this was never traumatic experience, but it did hold me back. It did, from my perspective, it was something that I held in myself, and that was holding me back. And when I actually disconnected, strangely enough, not only was I able to go off and be the person that I think I was always meant to be, hence eating cake and making YouTube videos and stuff. I only came to this quite recently, but I also healed the relationship with I never had a bad relationship with my mum, but I connected with her on a very human level. I loved her not just as a mum, but I loved her I now love her more as a person. I'm able to be kinder and more considerate, because when you're a child and your mum's your mum, it's really hard to nurture your mum, because she's the one that's supposed to be doing that to you. If you want to look after your parents, especially if they're getting old and and getting on a bit and not being able to do what they need to do, I think sometimes you have to be able to come out of that dynamic and approach it in a completely different way, from a completely different place in your heart. And that allowed me to do that. I actually had how did I do it? I think it might have been, was it EMDR? No, not EMDR. Not EMDR. I think it was EFT. I did a bit of EFT. Emotional freedom therapy. I think EMDR I used for initially with my therapist. And we did that because I was going through grief after losing my child, and that helped me quite a bit as well. But with the whole mum and the family, and that was a really interesting experience. I wrote a little story about it. In fact, I've got
I love that
coming up in my book as well in the not too distant future.
I think like sort of what you said there is really important, because I think a lot of people see healing their family wounds and kind of just even looking at it as a bit of a betrayal of their parents, and a bit of a kind of, it must mean that they were terrible parents, and it doesn't, because we're all, as parents ourselves, making mistakes and getting it wrong, and
except us.
Of course. Like something, similar, along similar lines to you, my mum was very, if ever I was in pain, she would go straight to the distraction rather than like teaching me to sit with my uncomfortable feelings. And it's stuff like that I talk about in my book, that's kind of, again, come from the best place of not wanting to, allow me to feel hurt, but ultimately not teaching me that really important life skill. And there's no blame there. It's not about blaming our families for anything. It's about just having a little look at it and processing through it. And that will, in lots of ways, actually make our relationship stronger, because we will understand more.
Yeah, absolutely. Off the back of that, then, I know this is going to be quite a difficult question to answer, but I know you're going to do amazing at it. If you if we're looking at, we're going to see if people will read your book, because I think that'll give them a much broader answer. But if, for example, somebody came to you and they were wanting to overcome something in their lives, what are some of the steps that they could potentially take to actually start that journey of healing that wound, if you like?
So it's a really good question, and it will be different for every different wound ultimately. But I think gaining understanding, looking at the situation or whatever it is that happened, looking at the person or, whatever it is, from all the different perspectives, what might have been going on for them to make this happen, like with me, just thinking there about my mum kind of protecting me from all pain. What was going on for her was the need to protect her own discomfort with seeing her child in pain, which is hard, seeing your kid in pain, like, we all know that. It's looking at those different perspectives, working out what was going on. So understanding is key. Then I think sitting with what that has caused you a little bit. So for me, that's caused me, I guess, originally a real difficulty in being with my own pain. And so resultingly, you push it down and you don't process it, but you're still carrying it with you. So it's kind of working out, what the problem is, what needs processing, and breaking those patterns and cycles.
Yeah.
And I think doing that through talking, through writing, through expressing your emotions, could be through journaling, could be through art, could be through chatting to a friend, could be through therapy.
Chatting to a therapist.
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever your method of expression is, I guess. And then kind of filing it away, ultimately.
And cracking on with your most fabulous life.
Yeah. And sometimes that could be through forgiveness. It could be forgiveness of others, could be forgiveness of yourself, whatever that looks like. But ultimately processing it, filing it away, and moving on to your happiness.
Yeah, and that goes back to that analogy of the screwed up paper, and then
exactly.
Yeah. That totally makes sense. After saying all that, it absolutely totally makes sense. So if somebody wanted to work with you, somebody's watching, and, they're interested in your modalities,
wonderful.
How do they get in touch with you?
So I can be contacted by a mobile, by email. So I will. Well, Michelle's got my details anyway, so she can.
They're in the description. They're in the description.
They're in the description. Happy days. I've also got a Facebook group called the Happiness Collective, which is kind of a place where you can get sort of wellbeing advice and guidance, anything like that. And I've got a website, which is www.lianneterrycounselling.co.uk, where you can find out all about me.
Yeah, link down below. And then just get in touch and see a myriad different ways of working with Lianne. And at the very least, if they pick up your book and have a good old read, they'll get a real sense of the way that you work and what you bring to the table.
that would be wonderful. And I'm more than happy for, even if people don't want to work with me, but they want to know more about therapy, or they want to know what would help them, I'm more than happy for anyone to reach out to me.
Yeah, and if they turn up to one of the fashion shows as well, they'll no doubt see you on your
indeed.
Right, I've got one more question for you before we finish off. Here's the killer question. Right?
Okay.
What's your spirit animal and why?
Oh, I have been asked this before, and I'm always torn between two animals.
Well, so combine them and make it like a hybrid animal,
like a half cat, half owl. So
a owl.
Yeah, a cat, because they are quite chilled and relaxed. They follow their own path. We've got two cats, but my cat, like the two that we've got now, are my wife's cats. But my cat died last year, and she was like the best cat in the world. And I often think that she's like my spirit guide. Not that I really believe in that stuff necessarily, but if I did, she would be my spirit guide. So a cat in that respect, and then an owl, because I like the idea of being able to like turn my head in a full circle. I like the idea of like having a nest And
Just
being
a tiny bit weird, Lianne, just a tiny bit weird.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that, and I like the idea of I'm quite a night owl as it is. I'm not really a morning person. I like the night, and I think I'd just be a good owl.
Yeah, I think you might be a good owl. Yeah, I could definitely see you as an owl. And owls are quite, they're always a lot bigger than you expect them.
They are. You're right. They are. Yeah.
Yeah, they've got these big wingspans and they're quite, you know, they've got quite a presence. A very quiet kind of unusual presence. Yeah, I definitely go with that. Thank you so much, Lianne, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
As always, it's been an absolute pleasure. I love talking about all these inner workings of people's minds.
Yeah, me too. And yeah, thank you all for listening. And please check my book out.
Put in the link in the descriptions. All right, love you. Love you. That was the amazing Lianne Terry. And I'll be hooking up with her on one of the fashion shows in the not too distant future. I am absolutely sure of it. We have such fun doing that. And if you want to come to an amazing event that's specifically designed for small business owners who are purpose-led, who have a heart, who have a dream, who want to move forward, build the kind of resilience that you actually need, the kind of resilience that we're talking about today with Lianne, then I have got an amazing event coming up for you on the 1st of November in Preston, in a beautiful venue where we'll be bringing together the best kind of people, learning lots of things along the way, building an absolute foundation to make sure that you are looking after yourself on the journey to building your dreams. We are going to have such a fabulous time. If you haven't got your ticket already, what the hell are you waiting for? We're going to pop the link in the description, and then hopefully if you buy a ticket, I'm going to see you there and we're going to eat cake together. Flipping love you. See you next time. Mwah!